and welcome to Adobe Live today, and happy Juneteenth! Hey, woohoo! Today we are in pro tips talking about the masking tool in Photoshop, and already we've got so much chatter in the chat. Thank you all for being here. We've got General Kenobi saying hello there and then making Seinfeld references. We've got Clever Devlin also pointing out that fish bloop. Do we teach children this? You know, cats meow, dogs bark, fish bloop. Thank you so much for being here in the Behance chat. Also, Carol and Jack, Approva. So good to see you guys. We've also got our YouTube chatters, Albert and R and Jack also. Thank you for being here twice, Jack. Hey, Robert, everybody. So good to see you. Shout out where you're coming from. And if you're going to be editing in Photoshop with me today, shout out your favorite feature of the masking tool or masking tools. Layer masking. There are many things to say about masking, so let's just jump into it. We should check out some Photoshop and also some fish. Look at that, we got some fishies. So if you're unfamiliar with masking, this is a non-destructive editing tool, which means that you are not losing any pixels, but you can erase. It's amazing. So if you've never used it before, it is this little tool at the bottom of the layers panel. It's got a white square and a black circle. And when you press it, whenever you're on a layer, it creates a mask. Boom, done. So masks consist of basically two colors, or I should say values, because it's all black and white. The white shows what's underneath the mask. The black hides what's underneath the mask. So if you imagine it almost like a piece of cardboard or like something covering it, the black is covering it, the white shows it. So white, clear, black, opaque. Just keep that in mind. You can do any kind of gray in the middle, but just to start, we're going to use black and white, which I'm going to throw some hotkeys at you. So just bear with me, okay? If you want to, write any of them down, hotkeys are something that are really great to get used to. Okay, so when first using the mask in Photoshop, you want to have black and white selected as your foreground and background color. The hotkey for that is Control, or actually, you don't even have to do Command or Control, it's just D. If you press D in Photoshop, automatically your foreground color is white and your background color is black. Useful, especially when using masks because we need black and white a lot. And if you want to switch the foreground and background color, the hotkey is X. So all we need to do really is once we have the black and white set with D, all we have to do is press X to switch between revealing and hiding. So when I have these fish up, and imagine I want to erase out some of these fish, then I want to have black selected as my foreground color. And when I do, I can use my brush tool to just brush in however much of the fish I want to get rid of. Now it looks like I just erased the fish. However, if I move the fish around, this is a cool thing also, you can move this around and it looks like, wow, I really erased that fish. However, if I unhook the mask from the layer, which is the little chain icon between the layer and the mask, suddenly when I move it around, you can see I haven't erased any of that fish. It's still there. It's just hidden behind the mask. Whoopity-doo! All right, so that's how masks work. This is the hiding function of it, mostly. I'm going to be showing you for the first use case. I want to just show you how to hide things in ways that I find really useful. I am an illustrator, and I use non-destructive editing for everything. It is absolutely crucial, especially when working in creative pipelines, to work non-destructively. You never know when you're going to want those pixels back. So using masks and getting comfortable with them is essential. It's just the best way to work. So I'm going to press X to go back to white, and I can press Alt-Delete to fill my layer completely with white again. And what I'm going to do is bring up the background that I have for this piece. And the idea of this piece is I want to have fish going in between these flowers to make it look like they're behind, to make it look like they're in front of. So with our mask, I'm going to press X to go back to black. I'm going to use my brush tool, and I'm just going to pick some fish to go behind the flower stems. So I pick this one. I choose you, little minnow. Who's your favorite Pokemon? Shout it out in the chat. And this is exactly where I want to have the X on my finger on the X, because when I switch between the black and white, I can really easily finagle where I'm erasing and where I am revealing. I can go back and forth and always feel like I'm confident. All right, so I'm going to pick a few of these out to go behind. And of course, you can absolutely use the lasso tool or any kind of selection. If you have your flowers on the same, like all on one layer, you can absolutely use that. This is one of the useful things is when you want, so say we had the fish and we had the flowers on their own separate layers. Then why not just put the fish behind the flowers, right? You could just do that and it's non-destructive and it works. However, if you want the fish to go in front of and behind, then you're in a conundrum. What do? This is where the masks come in. Super easy, super quick. Of course, there are a million ways to do everything in Photoshop, so shout out your way of doing it if you have a different technique. All right, I'm going to have this one go behind this top leaf. I can figure out where the edge of the top leaf is like that. I can overdo it or underdo it. There are many ways to figure out. You can definitely lower the opacity of the fish so that you can see the full background. There are so many ways to do this. Okay, I think actually I did move this and I didn't put it back. Here, let me put it back. Oh, hey, this is a perfect example. Okay, so I wanted to move the fish, but not the mask because I forgot I accidentally moved it and didn't move it back. So what I'm going to do is unhook the mask from the layer and I'm going to zhuzh it to the side. And I can only tell that because this fish right here on the bottom has its tail cut off and that means it's the edge of the layer. So there we go. Yeah, something like that, I think. All right, now we can go back and clean it up because some of these are overlapping. So I am going to have the black selected. I have to remind myself sometimes. And then one other thing is when we're moving stuff when it's unlinked, it can be really useful for figuring out where things should go in the composition of the piece. So say I have this fish right here that is, here, let me circle it for you so you can see. This fish, its eyeball is kind of resting behind the flower, and I want that to be a little bit more clear cut, so not so, stacked behind it like that. What I want to do is unlink my layer and my mask. I'm going to go into the layer itself, select this fish, and I'm just going to move it. And as I move it, the mask is still there. So no harm, no foul. Now its eye is poking out and it's all nice. Gotta make sure that's nice and clean. Whoops. See, I do this a million times when painting. I'm just not not the neatest painter, so I go back and forth and zhuzh things until it's all done, and I always have to do a last pass of like, okay, so is this actually done or did I miss something? Like this little fin poking out. There we go. All right. And I think I want this guy behind this flower. So I'm going to just hide a little bit of this with our handy dandy mask. Oh my gosh, you guys are just making so many Seinfeld references in the chat. I love it. You're goofy. Favorite Seinfeld episode? Shout it out. Or no, actually, favorite Seinfeld character. That's a hard one. I always loved Elaine though. All right, so, and also my family and I, we are very big fans of just making reference after reference. So I could go on a streak and just rattle off everything to do with Seinfeld. However, I will abstain so that you guys have a somewhat cohesive stream, especially those in replay land. Hi, replay landers. We love you too. It's just so funny when the chat is going off. Okay, so we've got some fish before, in front of and behind. And we've got Kenobi saying Jackie Childs, just Jackie Childs in general. Oh, wait, that's the favorite character. Okay, I believe that. Jackie is quite charismatic. Okay, so let's see. I actually want to do one more fish back here. I feel like one more behind the scenes. And I can, since this is a big chunk, I'm just going to use the lasso tool, fill it in. Again, I fill in with the hotkey Alt backspace. I love that, but to each their own if you don't like hotkeys or if you have a different one. All right, now we've got fish in front of and behind, all sorts of flowers, all sorts of goodness. It's happening. We can feel the depth of the piece. However, did you put the balm on? You guys, you're going to distract me every 2 seconds with this Seinfeld. I love it though. I love it. Don't stop. Okay, so what I want to do to enhance the depth of this piece, and I can also use a layer mask, is I want to create a new layer. I'm going to fill it with, I think, like a medium kind of desaturated green. And go a little bit warmer. All right. And I'm going to just fill the whole thing. Again, Alt backspace. Hey, we filled every pixel. We're done. Good job. I'm going to put that on multiply. I think I could go a little bit lighter, but this is going to be my shadow color on the fish. So to make sure that it only applies to the fish, what I want to do is clip it. So I can hover between the layers, press Alt, and create a clipping mask like that. If you don't know about clipping masks, I do believe there is a pro tips on that. So if you want to, go check that out. There are plenty of lovely videos online for all sorts of Photoshop goodness. And then I'm going to click our masking tool at the bottom once again. And this time what I want to do is mostly hide this layer. I don't want all of the fish to be in shadow, so what I want to do is fill this with black to start with. So I'm just going to Alt backspace to fill this whole layer with black. And then I can go in with white on my brush here. And I'm just going to take the ones that are the little fish that are behind the stems, and I'm just going to paint in a little bit of shadow to show a depth that it is behind this thing. Oh yeah. Instantly it just feels like there's so much more depth there. And I'm just using a little brush. You can use whatever kind of brush to do this. And it will have different, obviously, like different brush strokes and all that jazz. So play with it, have fun, and figure out what kind of mark making you want to have with this. I'm just using the Kyle's Drawing Box Carbonara New, which is one of my favorites. And you can see in this layer mask that it is mostly black, and then I'm painting in with white. So this is the opposite of what we were doing before, which was mostly white, and I was painting in with black. And so if you have just little touches that you want to add from the layer that you have masked, I would recommend filling with black first. And the cool thing about layers is there are so many options within it. This has completely a properties panel for layers. So when you have the layer selected, you can go into properties. And we've got a lot of different options here. I could feather the mask and soften all of the painting that I just did. Or I could go in and invert, and everything that I painted is now white, and then everything else is black. Or wait, backwards. Everything I painted is black, and it would have a white background. But I'm going to invert it back because that's not what I want. But you never know. Sometimes happy accidents happen that way. All right, so we've got that as our layer mask. I did miss a fish over here. Never miss a fish. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Oh man, you guys are funny. Okay. Oh, everybody's saying hello. Hello, Kendall in the chat. Good to see you. Oh, and Jack found a clipping mask pro tips. Thank you so much, Jack. You are on it. Okay. So we've got our shadows. We've got our fish. We are all handy dandy with that. The next thing I want to do is show you how you can mask even a group. It does not have to be individual layers like this. So the first layer was just a layer. The second layer was a clipping layer. With a layer with a clipping mask, it was clipped to another layer. And this time we can do the entire group. And that is the magic of Photoshop. And also, I don't believe it's available in like way older versions, because I remember when I started working at a video game studio, it was a revolution when we were finally able to mask groups. It was essential to what we were doing. And that was on the game Farmville. If you've ever played that, it used a lot of masks for the artwork. Okay, so what I want to do is work on the background layer here. So this is where we have all of our flowers, our lovely flowers. Okay, I'm going to just click the mask tool. It will add automatically the white mask to our entire group. And then, so everything is revealed here. I want to select out a little chunk of this. If I were just to recrop the image, basically, if I felt like I just wanted a different kind of look to this altogether, I think I'm going to use it like this much. Yeah, I think that's a good, well, actually here, I'm going to redo that like that. I think that's good. Okay, you'll see why in a second. Okay, so I'm choosing this and I'm going to invert the selection, which is going to be, well, actually, I don't even have to. I could delete the layer mask that I made. I could delete the layer mask. And once I have the selection, I can just use the mask and boom, there it is automatically. I don't even have to work to make it black and white or any of that. It just automatically does it like that. And you can see the fish are above it. And so one of the things that I want to do is also edit out the fish. What I'm going to do is create an entire mask of the fish layer, the group of all the fish. And I think the fastest way, in my opinion, I'm going to zoom out here for a second, is to just select these guys. Oh, actually, that's what I wanted to do. Sorry, I'm forgetting my steps. I'm going to delete this layer mask. What I'm going to do is I'm copying a layer mask. So when I have this square mask on the background, I can press Alt and drag this entire mask to my other group. So now the fish and the background are all contained within the same masks. We've deleted nothing. This is completely non-destructive. And that is very useful because I want to bring some of these fish out. So what I'm going to do is press the X key again to get white on my brush. And I'm just going to paint out, or you could select out whatever way you want, some of these little bits and bobs sticking out of the frame. I think this is so fun, especially if you are printing this, to have something that is cropped in like this and you have the fish coming out of the frame. How fun is that? I love it. So that is the third way that I wanted to show you guys using masks for Photoshop. So we've got the hiding, we've got the revealing, and we've got grouping. So all of these are ways that you can really quickly and easily use non-destructive editing in your work. Now, since we've got some extra time, I want to show you some other ways of using masks. We've got so many options because masks are kind of limitless in how you use them. So one of the ways that I use them a lot is I'm actually going to delete this so I can see the whole piece again, and then delete this piece again. I'm going to show you how I edit some of the colors and some of the effects that I have on the pieces that I paint. Now, you may notice every single time that you add an adjustment layer, all these guys down here, like hue, saturation, and color balance and such, it automatically comes with a mask on it. This is because you can very easily put whatever kind of black and white in here to control where you are affecting it. And in the Handy Dandy Properties tool, we can be in the layer mask of the adjustment layer and select exactly where it goes. So I think what we should do is actually let's do levels. Yeah. And I'm going to go into the properties of this layer mask for the levels, and I'm going to click color range. This shows a whole bunch of tools. Honestly, you can choose based on different colors, like a hue saturation tool, or you could do different values like the selective color tool or levels. So I'm going to click highlights. I think our highlights could use a little bit of brightening. That would be fun. Okay, so we've got our mask all handy dandy and set up. So you can see those highlights. Those highlights are getting brighter as I go like this. See that? Woo! That is fun. So yeah, we have the opportunity to not only very selectively choose what we are affecting, but also automatically be connected to the adjustment layer that allows us to affect the colors, the values, whatever we need. So we've got brighter highlights. I think one of the other things is we could add a color shift to this entire thing by adding some gradients. So this time, actually, I'm going to go here. Let's start from scratch. I'm going to go to color balance. And I think what we can do is mess with some of the colors to make it warmer towards the top. So overall, I'm going for warmer. Kind of like water shifting down into the deeper bluer kind of color phase. So we've got the warmer towards the top, the cooler towards the bottom. And we could also do it on a tilt. All right, so this is the shadows. Let's do warmer, warmer. Midtones we've got a little edited, and we need highlights. There we go. Warmer, warmer, warmer. Okay, so as we see the before and the after, you can see it's basically just making everything more towards the yellow zone. More orange, more yellow. So what I want to do is go into the layer, the mask of the layer. I say it like layer. Go into the mask of the color balance layer. And one of the coolest things is you can use gradients in your mask. So I want to make sure that I have black and white selected, classic gradient. I'm going to go, there we go, like this. So this is just a basic linear gradient. I'm going to go shift top to bottom. And there we go. We've got warm coming from the top, cool down at the bottom. So we've just got an added color shift thanks to color balance, and our layer mask made it one of those completely smooth gradients from top to bottom. It's really fun to play around with this, especially if you have a specific look in mind. You can go for a radial gradient and have a different kind of look with that. And by the way, our handy dandy hotkey tool of X also works with gradients. So if you are like, all the gradient, it's not working how I want it to, then you can press X and have it do the opposite. Right? Am I crazy? Yes. Okay. So there we go. That is how you can use layer masks with adjustment layers. I know that's like a lot of blah, 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 garbledygook. However, it is extremely useful. Once again, one of those daily uses at my jobs. Kendall is saying to Keys, I think if you turn a group into a smart object, you could do that. Oh, wait, I want to see what... It'd be nice to have clippable groups too. Absolutely. Yes, Kendall is correct. I believe that you can make a group into a smart object and clip like that. If you haven't seen smart objects, hey, another call out. There is a pro tips all about smart objects that I did, and it actually talked a lot about my previous job working on video games, because once again, smart objects, they help everything. It's basically a whole nother PSD within your PSD, and it helps a lot. Okay, so I actually think I want to go in here. I want to make everything a little bit brighter over there. So I think what I'm going to do... Oh, I just closed my layers. Nice job, Anna. Okay, so one of the things I want to do is generally lighten. I think I'll do a brightness contrast. Let's up the brightness, but I don't want it all over. What I want it to be is just where this color balance is, which, by the way, I put in a random gradient. I'm going to go back to the linear and make it what we said. Warm at the top. There we go. And I'm going to Alt drag that layer mask, and it will give me a little prompt because there's already a layer mask on our brightness contrast layer. And what I want to do is click yes, because I do want to replace it. It doesn't have to show me that again. And now we've got these two layers working for us to create a brighter, warmer top of the piece compared to the bottom of the piece. A little bit of color gradient goes a long way in making pieces look juicy, and like they're just so much more colorful when there's that little warm to cool change. Apruva says that they taste best when pickled. I wonder what that is in reference to. Maybe the smart objects when they're pickled. Absolutely. And Jack found the smart objects pro tips. Thank you so much for that. That is a clutch one. I think that smart objects are amazing. Also, masks are amazing. Can we all agree? Let's non-destructively edit. Yes, no more erasing. And you never know when you're going to want to have that thing that you erased someday. And this is just one way that you can absolutely have your cake and eat it too. So thank you so much for joining me today on this lovely pro tips journey. Thank you so much, Jack, for being an amazing mod and finding those links. Hello, everybody in replay land. Thank you for watching. And everybody in the chats, you're amazing. High fives all around. Woo, woo, woo. All right. I will see you again very soon. We've got some amazing stuff coming up, so definitely stay tuned. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. Click the bell notification so that you can always be notified when Adobe goes live. Was that smooth or what? Oh, yeah. Peter says, sorry I missed. Hey, watch the replay. No worries, man. Thank you, everybody. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.